Traditionally, as the man in your family, you're supposed to protect and provide for your family at all costs. They are your responsibility and you wear that protective badge with honor. As a kid, I was really scared to grow up and have to do this and take on that responsibility. And it was really because I never even knew that men was supposed to do that until I started learning more about it. But then I became an adult and that completely changed for me. And now I take that on with nothing but pride. But there is somebody that just might be more of a family man and protector than anyone you know. And it's this countryman right here. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host TTG, and this is Lost and Loyalty, the Kenny story. Damn, I be killing these titles. But before we get into this video, I just want to say thank you all so much for surpassing 400 subscribers. Clap it up for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate the support and all of the love. I'm glad that we could be over here and build a community and have actual good conversations in the comment section. So thank you all for tuning in. Also, disclaimer, this is just my humble opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. And I will miss a few things. I will forget some stuff, and that's okay, ladies and gentlemen. We are all human beings. And obviously this video will have spoilers for the Walking Dead Telltale series 1 through 4. Not actually all 4 seasons, but we just gonna say 1 through 4 to save you. But moving on, we're gonna go back to when we first met Kenny. Of course, you was playing as Lee, and you find Kenny and his family has been staying with Herschel at Herschel's farm since the outbreak started. And Kenny has a wife named Katja, who's a veterinarian, I believe, and a son named Duck, who's, well, annoying as hell. And due to some unforeseen circumstances unintentionally caused by Duck, Kenny and his family was kicked out of Herschel's farm, and you leave with him. You end up being at a drugstore with Kenny and a group of other people after they help you with a walker herd that almost caused Duck to get bit, Kenny's son. And in the process of this whole thing, there's this big guy named Larry who's accusing Duck of being bit, and Kenny is not finna stand for none of it. You talking about his son, so you already know Kenny finna tee up. He step up to Larry, he whoop his ass.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
During the small amount of time you know Kenny, you really get to bond and understand who he is and his character. You build a relationship and it turns into a brotherhood. And it's that brotherhood that makes Kenny come back for you to save you when Larry knocks you out and leaves you for dead. And you might be saying, TTG, why did Larry knock me out and leave me for dead? Well, it's basically because your character was found out to be a convicted murderer and Larry wasn't really messing with it. So he decided he was gonna leave him to perish. So now you, Kenny, and your entire group are held up at a hotel, and you really understand that Kenny is a real one, especially after he saved you. He talks to you, he gives you some fatherly advice about the little girl that you end up finding earlier in the season. And I just remember during that conversation, you just hear Duck loud ass in the background just not shutting up. Like, bro, get out of Clementine face, go do something. Like, bucket head ass boy, big head ass boy. This what Duck will look like if he grew up. That's foreshadowing right now, because I said if he grew up, so that's foreshadowing. The group end up meeting some cannibals, not knowing that they are cannibals, but Kenny was not going for none of that. He knew it was something about them from the start, and he just couldn't figure it out. And that's the thing about him, he was always in dad mode no matter what, and those dad instincts were correct, because you end up finding this happen to your boy Mark. So after dealing with the cannibals, later on you get back situated into the hotel and eventually get attacked by the bandits that used to get supplies from the cannibal family. They are now attacking your hotel and your group. And this situation starts a chain reaction because Ben was apparently giving the bandits supplies. He apparently stopped giving it. So they ambush the motel, a gunfight pursues, walkers get into the motel, and this ultimately caused Duck to get bit. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Duck ended up getting bit, and it starts to really tear Kenny apart. This is a really big turning point for Kenny, just like it will be for anybody. Like, put yourself in this man's shoes, because now his own son has been bit, and he tries to tell himself his son wasn't gonna pass. He tries to say, you know, his son not like the rest, he's tougher than that, it's just a little cold, you know, he just trying to psych himself out. And in these moments, he's focusing on everything but the final moments of his son's life, and it's only because he doesn't want to accept his son's death. But ultimately he ends up carrying the burden of his wife and child being gone. Oh, yep, I forgot to say, his wife pretty much offed herself because she couldn't live with the fact that her son was a walker. So now Kenny is pretty much by himself.
I really miss my nigga. I Really miss my nigga.
And through the rest of the season, you hear this dialogue with Kenny, and it shows you how broken he is, how changed he is. And to make matters worse, he finds a kid walker in the attic that looks just like Duck. Like, look at this, they got the same big ass head, and you know he was reminiscing about his son.
I really miss my nigga.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That wasn't nice. Kenny finds out later that Ben was the reason Duck was bit, and this man decided to tell Kenny this whole situation at the worst time possible, right when they trying to get away from a herd of walkers. And obviously Kenny was pissed and livid and trying to tear Ben's head off. And because of that whole situation, Kenny decides to leave Ben behind. And to be honest, I would too. And I don't want to hear nobody in the comments, TTG, he was just a scared little teenager. He thought they had his friends. He did what a lot of us would have did in this situation. I don't care, bro. Be quiet. But ever since that point of his family being taken away from him, he had a lot of hurt inside of him. A lot of sadness, anger, guilt, because he blamed himself. And he carried all that on his chest. But even with all of that, he will always do what was necessary for the people he considered family, no matter what. Even after what Ben did to Kenny, Kenny still went back to save Ben. And I think he did this because he understood Ben was just a kid. He made a horrible choice. Or maybe it's because he felt like he had to right his wrongs. I don't know. Ask him. Regardless, it cost him to make the ultimate sacrifice and save his friends' lives by putting his on the line. So yes, Kenny ended up sacrificing himself and perishing as well to finally be reunited with his family. But if South Park taught me one thing, it's that Kenny always come back in every damn episode. And this here, ladies and gentlemen, was no different. That's right, Kenny was alive and well. We found out back when Clementine got a little older, and this time around he's with a new group, he has a new woman, and everything seems to be really fine. If you thought it was tough before for Kenny, well, listen closely, because I'm going to say a couple things and I want you to pay attention, because I'm going to speed run through them all. His new girlfriend, gone. His new group that you found him with, gone. He get captured because of a new group, he loses an eye, and he gets stuck with a group I like to call the Sorry Six. And I promise y'all, this group pisses me off. Every time I bring them up, I hate this group with a passion. I don't care what nobody say, this is the worst group in the Walking Dead history. And Kenny tries to lead this group, and he's not really successful because all of them are dumb as hell in the story. So one of the group members in the Sorry Six named Rebecca has a baby, and she passes shortly after giving birth. And the kid's father never even made it to see the birth. So Kenny being Kenny, he ain't the father, but hey, he the father that stepped up. Nah, I'm saying. Okay, so he protects that child better than anybody could, especially considering what happened to his last child. Sadly, this is where we come to an end to Kenny's story for real this time. There's multiple ways for him to leave this earth because it's a decision-based game at the end of the day, and I'm here to tell you, I don't like any of them, especially the one where he gets taken off this earth for not wearing a damn seatbelt. Like, this man has survived a herd of walkers multiple times. He survived his eye getting beat out of his face, but he is stopped because he didn't wear a damn seatbelt. TellTale was definitely trying to send a message with that one. Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. Kenny was a man with many issues, and he wasn't perfect by any means, but he was always a protector. And as much as I love Clem and Lee and their relationship, I would have liked Clem to acknowledge how Kenny was a father figure to her as well as Lee was, because Kenny pretty much raised her as well as Lee, especially after Lee passed. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button, comment, subscribe, of course, share with your friends, and thank you all for the love and the support. It means the world to me. I have been your host, Ty Talks Gaming, and I will see you all when the sun sets. Peace and love.